Kirsten Sinema, in my opinion, are they are the perfect examples of power hungry in the sense that they have been politically irrelevant for the most part. They weren't making huge headlines until they finally were given an opportunity to get power, which they did get power with the 2020 elections, where the Democrats were able to get a 50% majority in the Senate. And
Right.
because of that, if you're a Democrat in the Senate that doesn't vote in lockstep with the rest of the party, you have the entire Senate hostage. Because we know the Republicans aren't breaking.
Yeah.
They're not
For
breaking away.
example, one of the most recognizable moments of Cinema's growth to power is her famous thumbs down for
The
the $15 an hour minimum wage
Yeah,
amendment
her
to
her wine mom, girl boss, gatekeep, gaslight bullshit.
that
Like,
was her ascent to power and made her a name in the Senate.
especially because if you know anything about Kristen, she ran as a progressive in Arizona.
Yeah, like people made sure she was elected because of the things she said
Yeah,
on her campaign.
yeah, she was looking like maybe not a Justice Dem, but at least a Justice Dem affiliate. Like,
Like not a liberal, but
yeah, she was looking like she would be like maybe like a lib close to Sock Dem. But once
because
she came to power, she's just on her like suburban white wine mom. Like all she cares about is just looking, for lack of a better term, just making money and looking pretty. Like, I mean, have you seen what speaking engagements and what donations she only really does? She only does like wineries and like expensive like fundraisers.
I mean pretty much her fundraisers in the past like month have been out of control.
Yeah, like it's just for like uber rich people. Like this is the stuff that we criticize Hillary Clinton for, and here she is doing it. And it's like, do you not understand what we, and by we I mean people on the left, but also just the general American electorate had a problem with Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was kind of like acting like a rich suburban white mom who was just parlaying with all the rich people and didn't seem like she had her ear to the ground about what common Americans are dealing with, especially financially. And Kirsten Cinema seemed like she's going to be that person, and now she's doing it all over again.
Honestly, I don't even. I think this is 100 times worse.
Really? I
Yeah,
mean,
because she's so brazen about it and is openly mocking people for thinking the way that they do. Like, like reporters were asking her. Was it reporters or activists? I don't remember.
oh,
But
which event are you talking about?
where she was asked, "What do you think of progressives criticizing you for your actions in the Senate?" And her response was, "Oh, I'm in the Senate." Have you seen that clip?
No, I haven't seen that clip. I saw the clip of the student activist
So I'll
um
give you the full
yeah, go
rundown
for it.
of that one.
Yeah.
So pretty much she was asked that one question, responded snarkily with that comment, and then when they follow up with another question in the same manner, she's like, "I'm clearly in front of the elevator right now."
Really?
Yes,
Like that.
well, pretty much.
That, oh my God, that is,
Which I haven't actually looked into it, but I would love to find some sort of recall procedure for Arizona senators because she needs to go.
okay, I wouldn't say recall, because recall is very different than what you're thinking about. You're thinking about a primary.
No, no, no. I'm thinking about what happened with Gavin Newsom.
You really, I mean, the reason why Gavin Newsom had a recall was because they thought
Or
there was like problems with
there was
his
something
election.
other people were talking about with her betraying her constituents and them pretty much having no confidence in her whatsoever.
Yeah,
And I feel like there was some action that they wanted to take, but I didn't look too much into it.
I think the best action they could take is primarying her for the 2024 election.
Which that's in
I
3 years.
know it's ridiculous, but I think primarying her in 2024 is the best option because she's massively unpopular right now
Oh,
amongst not just her constituents, but obviously,
I think her approval rating dropped at least 40%.
yeah, I mean, the only people she's really doing well with are conservatives, which is pretty bad considering you branded yourself as a progressive. If conservatives are the only group that seems to be liking you, you have done a terrible job branding your of maintaining your brand. Like,
Honestly, I think she was only in it for the one term. Make her money and get out.
probably. I
I
mean,
mean, and not even get out. She could even become probably one of the most successful lobbyists out there.
oh, definitely. I could definitely see her. Like, I definitely can see her using her government ties to get in with the wine industry because I mean she has a winery. Like she has a winery, and I think that is kind of where her passion lies. To be perfectly honest, with not just wine, but like that type of industry. It seems she's far more passionate about that than she is about her time as a senator, which would have been fine if she pursued that. But you're a United States senator. Not only do you represent the people of Arizona, your actions impact all 50 states and potentially the rest of the world. You need to take your job seriously. You cannot be this gaslight gatekeep girl boss where you're literally preventing people from getting survival wages. I mean, $15 minimum wage is great, but let's be honest here. Our current standard of living in this country, $15 is a survival wage. It's not livable considering
Right.
all the different things you gotta pay for in life.
Yeah. And just the way she carries herself in public, just that is more of a slap in the face of it than anything else.
I definitely agree. And
But going aside from the elevator incident, we should also definitely talk about the bathroom incident.
yeah, so for those of you that don't know, Kirsten Sinema, I believe
It was at a university.
it was at a university, and a bunch of student activists were hammering her with questions about why are you the way that you are? Like, why haven't you been representing us? Why are you helping the gridlock in the Senate? Why didn't you go for $15 minimum wage? Why aren't you trying to raise the debt ceiling? Like, why aren't you trying to help immigrants? Like, why aren't you helping, like, put more restrictions on ICE? Like, all these different things that her as a progressive would be supporting, she's not doing. And she ran into a women's restroom, and I mean, part of me thinks she did actually have to use the restroom, and they did catch her at a bad time, but she made no effort to really try and answer these questions. And so, even if she did have to use the bathroom, it was definitely her hiding. She definitely just hid from them and just did not want to respond.
Yeah. Another one, I just remembered this just now.
Mm,
Another incident came out either yesterday or the day before of two incidents at the airport on her way. I think it was on her way back to DC.
really. And it was
Yeah.
people confronting her.
Yes. Once, I think it was once in the airplane and her walking out.
Damn. I mean, that just shows you right there that she's not doing well in terms of popularity.
Honestly,
Like,
praise to these activists who aren't like absolutely livid in front of her,
yeah,
like looking at her and not just freaking out. Like a lot of these activists are really calm,
yeah.
and
Which I think
lot
is necessary.
lots of praise to them because I know it's not easy.
It's definitely not easy. And so it's definitely praised that they're staying calm, which I think obviously you should stay calm. I mean, you shouldn't you shouldn't lose your mind in front of like Congress people because I mean,
That just
one, it doesn't look good optically, but two, are you really getting your point across if you're just screaming and raging?
yeah, because like I'll use this as a metaphor. Like it looks like from a parent's point of view, it looks like a child whining for a nonsensical reason.
Yeah. Even
So
if that reason is completely valid and the parent is a completely abusive person, if you're throwing a tantrum, you kind of lose the optical game.
yeah, so I think they handled this extremely intelligently, and I think that we'll see more things like this in the future.
Yeah. And obviously, I feel like this goes without saying, but it still must be said. Criticism is not death threats or rape threats or any type of bigoted language. There are people that unfortunately do say these things about Krysten Sinema and really anybody in Congress or the Senate, and that's not appropriate, people. Yes, we disagree with them on a lot, but they are still people and they still deserve to be respected as such, meaning you shouldn't be giving her death threats or rape threats or any type of bigoted comments because that doesn't accomplish anything and it's just morally wrong.
Overall, the actions we take represent who we are as people.
Yeah.
Like,
And do you really want yourself to be represented as someone that throws around death threats and rape threats when you have much more credible criticisms to someone like Kirsten Sinema or Joe Manchin, who we're about to get into? Because, I mean, we have way more credible criticism. I mean, right now, the biggest thing that both of them are holding up is the debt ceiling, which, if you don't know what the debt ceiling, like the debt ceiling bill that's coming up is basically America needs to pay its bills. And to do that, we need to increase the debt ceiling to pay it off. If we don't pay it off, just as how if you did not pay your credit card bill, your credit score goes down, America's global credit score goes down. That means that corporations within the country are not seen as trustworthy to other countries. I mean, America as a whole, when it comes to paying back other countries, aren't seen as trustworthy. And government organizations within the country don't get paid, meaning that eventually a lot of them would lose funding and then they would start to break apart. So we really need this to get paid. I mean, you have to pay your bills because, I mean, your credit score is everything. Your credit score gets you a lot. It's the same thing with a country.
TLDR, them holding this back could make this economy implode.
Yeah. And so it's not good. And switching gears from Kirsten Sinema, I want to look at Joe Manchin because Kirsten Sinema is not the only one. I mean, before Kirsten Sinema, it was Joe Manchin. And Joe Manchin, he has a reputation as a blue dog Democrat, which, if you don't know what that means, is he's basically a Democrat that leans very conservatively.
And that hasn't even been a term used in the past, what do you think, half decade, decade?
I mean, it does still get thrown around in like political spheres, but it's definitely not Carmen parlance anymore.
Right.
And so he is a blue dog Democrat, which makes sense.
Because he identifies himself as the moderate of the Democrats.
Yeah. Which, I mean, makes sense. I mean, he's from West Virginia, a red state, a very red state. And so a lot of his constituency is Republican and conservative. So it does make sense to a degree that that's how he's going to roll. But this level of obstruction that he is doing, and I think obstruction is the correct term to use because he's preventing things from being done within the Senate, I think is ludicrous.
And the biggest thing that he's doing right now is with the Build Back Better reconciliation bill is he is extremely flimsy on the target amount that he wants that bill to be. Because at first it was 6 trillion and then it had to be negotiated down to 3.5 trillion and now we're hearing rumors of 1.5
Yeah,
trillion.
I was going to say 1.5, which, oh my God, like that's 4 times, that's like 6 million is 4 times 1.5 million, right?
Or quarter, yes.
Yeah, it's a quarter of that. And so what are we doing? What are we doing, Joe? Like, honestly, why are you being so flimsy? Why are you holding us back? Is it because you're on a power trip right now? Because it seems like you've been like that ever since it was known that we were gonna get majority in the Senate after the Georgia runoffs. You've been very, very much the only person that's really holding us back. I mean, especially on environmental issues. He's so deep in coal lobby pockets. It's as if you need a goddamn coal miner to dig him out. He's just so obstinate. And I get it. I get it. Republican constituency, coal mining, very big thing in West Virginia, coal lobby, very powerful in Appalachia. I get it. But at some point, Joe, you need to actually stand up and have some principle. I mean, you need to save the people of your state. You know that coal mining is dangerous. You know it's not healthy. And you know that coal miners in this country are consistently and constantly getting screwed over by the coal industry. And now we have opportunities to move away from that so we're not putting people in danger. We can get better environmental, control and potentially find environmental alternatives, and you're stonewalling it. This will not help the people of West Virginia. You're killing them. Black lung is so common amongst coal miners that I believe it's that out of 100 miners that have black lung, only 2 of them will get any type of what's the word, recompense for any type of medical needs they need. 2 in 100 coal miners. That is ridiculous, especially considering coal is very big. These are people. You are dealing with people's lives here.
Well,
people die from black lung.
The big reason, for sure, as I'm sure we all know, is that he's heavily invested in coal.
Yeah.
Why would, in his perspective, why would he help out the coal industry? Or not the coal industry.
Coal miners.
Coal miners, the workers in that industry. Why would he help them out?
Yeah, it makes sense, and that's a problem when our public servants, which what senators are too involved with the bourgeoisie, like very, very wealthy corporate entities and aristocrats. This happens when our public servants feel more beholden to them than the people that they are supposed to be serving.
And going back to what you said earlier, this is being power hungry at its finest. Yeah. I wouldn't say Krysten Sinema is power hungry to the extent of Joe Manchin, which also is a question I want to toss around a bit too, is who do you think is worse right now?
I don't think it really matters, because even if Joe goes one way, if Krysten goes the other, we're still in the same situation. Or vice versa. If Krysten sides with the Democrats but Joe doesn't, we're still back where we're still not getting anything done.
I guess the more apt question would be, who do you think you can turn easier?
Honestly, I feel that despite the fact that Joe Manchin is gambling with more people's lives, he is more likely to turn because he knows that if he doesn't play ball, he will be out. So he has to play ball somewhat. I feel like Krysten Sinema feels that she doesn't necessarily have to play ball, because even if she gets out by 2024, she's had a 4-year stint in the Senate, which that goes a long way. That goes a long way for future endeavors.
Would it be 4 or 6 years?
Wasn't she? Oh yeah, it's 6 years. I forgot. Senators go for 6 years. Duh. But yeah. So yeah, she would have had a 6-year stint in the Senate, which goes really far for future endeavors. So I feel like she doesn't need to play ball. But Joe Manchin, this man is a career politician.
Yeah.
This man, for sure, in my opinion, will be more likely to play ball with Democrats. Because we see that. He did bring it down from 6 trillion to 1.5 trillion. Meanwhile, Krysten Sinema, her terms are what exactly?
I'm in the Senate.
Yeah, she hasn't even made her terms for what she would agree with publicly known, which I guess that really goes to show who's more willing to play ball.
Yeah, I did bring up a lot of instances with Krysten Sinema, but with Joe Manchin, there was one that did come up, and it was with activists kayaking to his yacht.
Yes, which, can you just imagine for a second the imagery? Just, this is a man who's a public servant.
He's talking down to the people.
He's on a yacht. And the way that people can get to him to get their voices heard is to kayak to his yacht. In ye olden days, this is the equivalent of poor paupers having to painstakingly make their way to the castle, get vetted by the arbitrary standards of whoever is vetting, to finally get an audience with whatever lord that is there to have their 5 seconds and then get shooed away and then probably beaten by the guards in the back.
Yeah, at least we don't have to worry about that right now.
I mean, we don't, but I mean, it's the same type of thing that's happening now. You shouldn't have to kayak to a senator's yacht to make your voices heard. That is absurd. And that really is telling about the current state of things in politics, where many politicians, both Democrat and Republican, are so far removed from the people they represent that you have to corner them in bathrooms or kayak to them to get them to even listen to you. Not even get them to do something, but just listen to you. I think that is really sad. It's really disheartening. And I think it's really just disgusting. I think it needs to stop. And obviously, it's not going to just because I said it should, but it really does need to stop because these are people's lives, especially because we're in the COVID-19 pandemic. The world has fundamentally changed as a result of this pandemic, and people need aid more than ever. And what do we have?
Honestly, I'm gonna just say, I think their actions of stonewalling this whole endeavor is going to be the reason we lose both the House and the Senate come
Well,
next year.
you really think we'll lose the House because of them?
We lost many seats in the House last year.
I mean, we did lose them last year, but I mean, it does matter what the House does this year. So we can maintain the House. Because, I mean, remember, we were able to get the Senate down as much as we did because the Republican senators were that bad at their job.
That is
So,
true.
so long as the Democrats don't perform as bad and can at least bring some type of marginal improvement to the populace, I think at least the House can maintain something. The Senate, on the other hand, that's tough because amongst Republicans, really at this point, if you're a Republican that likes the current Republican Party in the Senate, nothing's really going to change your mind.
Like, are there really any unpopular Republican senators amongst that party?
Ted Cruz, because Ted Cruz is always unpopular and no one likes him.
True.
I mean, you saw during what was it, January 6th, where Lindsey Graham, unprompted, when talking about January 6th, just started shitting all over Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't agree with Ted Cruz. I mean, when Rand Paul and I agree about something, you know it's crazy or something like that. I mean, they don't like him. No one likes Ted Cruz.
But do you think he's going to be voted out?
Oh, obviously not. But it's less because it's more because he has his own little cult down in Texas that will love him despite the fact that he abandoned them in the middle of a snowstorm that took out their power grid. But that's neither here nor there. But I mean, of Republicans, the main one that's just not popular is Ted Cruz. But even then, I mean, the people that don't like Ted Cruz aren't in the state, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the reality of it.
All right. Well, we actually